Hey YouTube, welcome back. Now, in the thumbnail, I did say I'm going to be painting a very scary fish. And that is true, I'm not lying. But he's not that scary to you or me. He is, however, very scary to the new character I have put into today's video. I'm not going to tell you who that character is or even why he's that scared. Well, not just yet. But if you stay tuned and watch the video, you'll find out and you'll see exactly why he's so scared. I thought I'd start off today's video by showing you my palette setup. I've got a microfiber cloth to wipe my brush on, a ceramic dish with a bit of water for either wetting the brush or adding water to the paint. And under the paint palette, I have a wet sponge, which prevents the paints from drying out too quick. So when I'm at the canvas, I've got everything I need right there in my hand. I'm using a very bright orange for the first layer of my flying fish. It will be dulled down by a series of washes after. Once I finished base coating all of the fish, I realized I missed this wing. So I'm going back in with very watered down paint to draw it, which worked out well because I end up putting in some extra water and wiping it away and doing it again with a nice thin layer so that I can wipe it away if I'm not happy with it. It ends up being good, so I do a few more coats on it and head in with the highlights. This is still in the underpainting stage, so I will be painting over the top of this with other colors. It's more or less just to give me an idea of where the highlights are going to be, where the shadows are going to be, and add a little bit more form to the fish rather than just being a orange blob on my canvas. You might have noticed already in this video that I've changed up the format of my videos a little bit. I wasn't really happy with the sped up video footage I was doing. I felt like although it made the video shorter, it kind of took away from each brush stroke, which made it harder for you guys to see what I was doing. So this way I've decided to take out every few brush strokes and just kind of show it in more real time so that the videos are still kept short by cutting out the boring bits. But you guys can see the individual brush strokes and actually see what I'm doing. Yeah, let me know if you like this format better or if you prefer the sped up versions. I desaturate that bright orange with a little bit of white and a bit of burnt umber for these scale spots. In the areas that are a bit more shadowed, like here, I'm adding the scale dots a little bit closer together. And then for these highlighted areas, I've added a little bit of yellow and a bit more white for that golden glow. I use these colors quite a bit on the fish. The more desaturated browner tones for the shadows and the yellow tones for the highlights, adding a little bit more white for brighter areas and a little bit more burnt umber for the darkest areas. Although I'm using the same colors on the fish, each section has different textures. The head is smoother, so flatter brush strokes are used. The tails and the wings are a little bit more feathery, so long strokes and not so blended, so leaving those streaks in to add that bit of texture. In this painting, there are actually 3 flying fish, 2 at the top near the kookaburra and this one here near the 2 mice. In this video, I'm only demonstrating how I'm painting one of the fish, which is this one right here. The other 2 fish are quite a bit smaller, but they're painted in exactly the same way. So in order to keep the videos that little bit shorter, I'm just showing you how I've painted one of them. I continue on with those paint mixes, swapping back and forth between the darker shades and the lighter shades to really build up that depth. I then use a wash that I've made out of the yellow and the orange with a bit of white to go over the top and soften any harsh lines between the two different colours. I then go back again with some darks and some lights, and then again with the wash. Building up these colours in multiple layers gives it that more translucent look that fish have. They're not solid and blocked in. They have that translucency to them where you can see different layers of the skin almost. And that's what I'm kind of hoping to achieve here. And now for his eyes. Anyone who's been watching my videos knows just how much I love doing eyes, especially when they're nice and cute, bubbly eyes like this one. The mouth, on the other hand, is not so cute and bubbly. I'm now using a very small stipple brush to dry brush some white on those very highlighted areas. But don't worry, it's not going to stay white. I'm going to use the same stipple brush with a yellow glaze over the top, which, as you can see, takes away that bright white starkness, but keeps it bright and soft, adding a warm glow to him. And our fishies are done. Did you think I was going to end the video there and not tell you who this character is? Don't worry, I didn't forget about you. Let's get to it. For those of you who haven't worked it out yet, the character that is so scared of this fish is a worm. He is dangling from a fishing hook and fishing line, which is coming off Night Mouse's joust pole. So I guess we can all understand why he might be so scared of this fish, even though our fish is very friendly and has no intention of eating him at all. The base coat for this has been pretty simple so far. A pinky tan brown for the worm and a charcoal grey for the hook. Instead of just doing a plain straight wiggly worm, I decided to do these little ball sections, kind of like the worms we used to see on Sesame Street, that kind of idea, just without all the bright fancy colours. I've added in the shadows to the worm, and now I'm adding in the highlights. I know it looks a little bit weird right now, but don't forget, I like to do glazes over the top, so this will be softened off quite a bit. See, much softer and much more subtle. However, I do need to go back in and darken up those shadows again. I've done his eyes extra large. I want to give that impression that he's really glued to the fish and screaming. I then add some eyebrows for that shocked look. However, the face still doesn't quite look right. So I move on to the fishing line, have a think, and come back to it. I decided he kind of looks a little angry, and his nose looks a little bit like a pig snout. So I go back in with that same base color and try to change it up a little bit. Take away the bags from under his eyes because it made it look like he was squinting. And I make the eyes that little bit bigger, and I'm much happier with it. He definitely looks more surprised and scared now. Okay, and that is it for today's video. Now, the very next video is going to be the last one for this painting. Not the last one for the channel, don't worry, just the last one for this painting. And in that one, I'm going to be doing the last character, the little snail on top of the wall. And then I'm going to go in and refine with some cast shadows and some highlights. So if that sounds like something that you might be interested in, hit that subscribe button and hit the like button too. It really does help me. So until next time, stay creative. Catch ya.